I remember when they took me to Moscow by train, and I didn't know where I was going because nobody told me where they were taking me. It's right before the exchange. I remember I I was standing there. There was a small window on the train. It was the first time I was seeing green trees and grass and a little bit of a sunshine. And I spent hours and hours just standing and like watching that. I remember that moment vividly.
Hello, team, and welcome to Bureaucracy. I'm your host, Emily Gross. You have a very special guest today, one that I am very excited about, and that is Alsu Kurmasheva, who was a journalist, an American journalist, who was imprisoned in Russia and released about 2 months ago now. Alsu, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Emily, for inviting me. It's an honor and pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Before we begin, what are we drinking? I'm doing iced coffee because if I have a beer in midday, I will fall asleep. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking water. I always loved pure cold water. And since I was released, Emily, I'm still craving water. This was something I was craving 10 months in prison. So water. Cheers.
Cheers. I guess I kind of just want to start with, want to share your story? What happened? What was it like getting arrested? And, you had gone to Russia to see your mother, and it just was a whole process, and it just went worst case scenario. What happened?
Let me be open. I never, ever thought I could have been arrested. I've never done anything criminal in my life. And I've been doing journalism for more than 20 years. And it was always hard. It was dangerous. We at RFERL deliver news to the areas, to the countries where people are stuck with state propaganda and they don't have access to independent news. But it was dangerous, but it was, we always weighed the risks. We knew what kind of risk we were facing, but it's the first time that the authorities dared to imprison journalists, a woman, a mother of 2 children, somebody who has no criminal record or doing something wrong. I think they acknowledged that later, for sure. Even the judges and the investigators, they would assume that somewhere deep in their heart. I hope so. I'm full of compassion and love still. I have no anger. I'm trying to understand. I was trying to understand those prisoner guards. I was trying to understand the judge who was extending my detention. I was trying to understand why they were doing that. I think I did. I have that understanding. So that was very unexpected. And it was a true magic that this advocacy campaign happened and I got released. So everything was a little bit surreal. Like my life now is that the life I'm back to is real. This is my life. This is how I lived always. But that part of my life was very surreal, but it still happened. And I will certainly use that experience to do good things for the good. I was always traveling to see my mom and my family. I've been traveling there for more than 20 years. And Russia has gone through many changes. You know that. My mom lived through communism. I grew up in my childhood was still during communist times. But we never faced this kind of harassment or discrimination. So right now, the level of fear and uncertainty is the highest in my life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The authorities, I believe you got arrested in October in 2023. That's correct. What did they say to you?
I was under house arrest for 5 months already. They brought charges against me in June for failing registering my American citizenship. And it's not a big crime. I was fined, and the fine was as small as $100, and I was ready to pay it and collect my passport and go home to Prague. This is where we live, in Prague, in the Czech Republic. By the way, they have a great beer culture, so you should visit.
Beer's cheaper than water there.
Absolutely, yeah. You should come to record one of your podcasts there.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yes, please. Let's do that. Let's plan that. But the amount of fear that was building, through those 4 or 5 months was enormous. There was uncertainty. I didn't know where it was going. The investigation, clearly, how much time does anyone need to investigate the failure of registering a passport? You tell me, is that so hard? But it was, it was done on purpose to build up that tension around the case. And then they arrested me in October, and that was brutal. There was no physical torture against me, but they came, 6, 7 men in black masks came and almost stormed my mom's home. It was ugly. It was ugly. I would never have run away, or they could have done it in a different way, calling me to the investigator and presenting me some other charges. I would never have done anything aggressive or brutal against them. So that approach was brutal against me.
Absolutely. No, I'm so sorry. And they brought you to prison and you went through a sham trial. What was being communicated with you, and what was prison like?
The first days in prison are the most horrible. We know about the prisons from movies and books, and it wasn't a particular topic of my interest, but something I could remember that there could have been trouble from any corner. New women entering to the cell. There was bullying. I didn't witness any aggression against me, physical aggression against myself, but I really witnessed that against others, and it was heartbreaking. I thought that I might have beaten or even raped. It was possible. I witnessed that against other women, but I was lucky nothing like that happened to me, but it was a huge pressure and intimidation. There was a big level of psychological pressure. So I spent days without a mattress or a pillow. I had to cover myself with the jacket I was wearing, or so it took a while until I got hygienic products, which then I learned by law, by the rule, they have to provide the basic toilet paper or toothbrush. They did to others, but as I didn't know how it worked, I didn't know how to ask for it, so nobody gave it to me. The harassment, also there was a mental pressure from the guards or from the officers. There was always this toying around, or like a play game. There was a bad cop, good cop game around me, that somebody would approach me and say, "Oh, also, I'm so sorry. You can't be here. This is not the place to be for you. Let's just open up, tell us certain things," and which I was open to tell because I'm a journalist. I mean, I have nothing to hide, and this is our beauty, right? This is, we are not working for secret services, or we are working for our audience. And the beauty of RFERL and the department I was working for is delivering independent and fact-checked, balanced news to the audience in Tatarstan, in the region where I was in prison, in their native language, in Tatar and Russian. So we are a completely open media organization, and everything, all the charges they brought against me, they were in open media on internet. It's just, This is what happening. And then, of course, very difficult winter months. It was very cold, well below zero, freezing temperatures. Heating broke. The prison is situated in a very old building from the early 19th century, and it's an old monastery, and they keep women, especially women, underground. So I've haven't seen any sun or horizon for almost 10 months. And when they took, I remember when they took me to Moscow by train, and I didn't know where I was going because nobody told me where they were taking me. It's right before the exchange. I remember I I was standing there. There was a small window on the train. It was the first time I was seeing green trees and grass and a little bit of a sunshine. And I spent hours and hours just standing and like watching that. I remember that moment vividly. And you asked about the trials.
Yeah. No, what were the trials like?
So the trials.
I guess I didn't realize you were truly stuck underground without any light or daylight for 10 months.
Yeah, there were always lights on day and night. That hasn't changed. 24/7 surveillance, the cameras. The light was it wasn't enough to read, so my eyesight has got worse. But it wasn't comfortable to sleep, so we had to cover our eyes with like very very thick layers of whatever we had, clothes, and so this is how we slept. Sleeping was well, I wouldn't call it like healthy sleep at all because there was tension even at night. So that iron metal door with lots of chains and locks could have been opened any time of the day at night, and they could bring a new cellmate or somebody could be taken somewhere. I mean, the whole experience is I never slept when I was sleepy. I never ate when I was hungry. I never had a drink when I was thirsty. So you do those things when you have a chance. And if you see that it's more or less quiet for an hour or so, you just take a nap if you can. If you see that you can make yourself tea or coffee now, and it doesn't matter if it's morning or evening, you just do it because then you might not have another chance.
What a drastic change from living life to the way you were to then having to just adapt in those survival skills. I mean, props to you for being able to do that and sustain yourself. It's incredible. Truly.
Thank you so much. I can't even, it's a good question, and many people ask that. You would have done the same thing, Emily. It's not like something, like I'm not a hero. It's a basic human survival mode. I mean, I knew I had to survive. I witnessed so many nasty things where women couldn't handle certain things and they would end up committing suicide or attempt to commit suicide. It was so hard. I tried to focus on like well-being as much as I could because I have 2 children to go back to and raise. I have a husband. I have a mother I have to take care of. I have colleagues. I have friends. I have a beautiful life to go back to. This is like a mantra. Like I was meditating on that, and I actually even learned to close my eyes and transport myself to that life like very often and live with their life. So imagine that certain time of the day, what they might be doing. And I pictured myself there with them and not in prison.
That's incredible. The human mind is truly incredible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so what was the trial like and what was being communicated with you?
Well, the trial was just, I don't know, something to go through some bureaucracy. This is what I was told by my lawyers. We didn't even try to go against, the system because it was, it was,
there's no
it
use.
wasn't absolutely.
I mean,
there was no
you.
use. I mean, I wasn't a criminal. I was innocent. So why are we even bothering? So the prosecutor presented his charges. The judge asked me questions. I didn't get into the interrogation or conversation with anyone. There was no use. My lawyers even advised me to not to speak much, but I couldn't stop myself from saying the last word in court, and this is what exactly I said. That like I really feel sorry of you guys that you have to do this. And I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see any reaction on their faces. I don't really care. They did what they were told to do, and just basically, it was 2 days from morning till night. Even though I thought I was holding up, when I heard the verdict, I almost collapsed when they took me to the waiting room to be taken back to prison. I just even the guard came to me and offered me to bring a doctor or a nurse. I think they watched me from the camera, and I just like I was standing and not doing what to do, if I should sit down or lay down on the bench. And I think like I made some movements that they felt that I was falling or losing my consciousness. It felt like that. It felt like that. It just like in general, I saw that bigger picture, not only myself, like I was a very little joint in all that system, and that thing is happening to hundreds of people there, if not thousands. So,
I mean, you were a pawn between what is now the second Cold War between Russia and the U.S., it's just so unfortunate that it was taken out on you and all the other innocent prisoners, which brings me to my next question of what were the other women like in the penal colony? Because you mentioned briefly that you met some just incredible women who were there unfairly as well. And who were these people? What were they like? And what were their stories?
I hadn't made it to the penal colony. I was kept only in prison, detention center. They never sent me to. So the life in penal colony is a little bit different. They work there. It's like a labor camp. Here, it's predominantly a male prison. They were mostly men prisoners and only 100 women. And I knew almost all of them, and they knew me. It's not. I was kept in isolation mostly 6 months of my detention, and I had more interaction only last 3 months. But still, there is a chance to meet other prisoners always when you are taken to interrogations or when you're meeting lawyers. There's always a chance to have a couple of words, and news spread very fast in prison, so people know each other. I don't know. I'm not qualified to judge, and you never judge in prison who is innocent, who is not, right? So who is guilty, who is innocent. I really felt sorry about young women, young girls in the 20, 21, 22 years old, mostly charged with drug deals. Most of them, they were not even using drugs themselves. They were caught selling them. It's fairly good money, and when people don't have other income, they were mostly not visiting. They were studying in Kazan. They were going to college, and at some point, again because of the war, first because of the COVID pandemic, and then later because of the war, when the parents couldn't transfer money, they couldn't send them money to support their children, and so they needed more money, right? And this is like, it was a very easy way to pay your living, to make money. So they started doing it. Unfortunately, they were caught immediately. This is it's a very sad, they were girls from Morocco. There was a young lady from Peru, from Guatemala. They were all not high school. They were all university students and very smart ones. One gave me math classes. She was an astronomy student. That girl from Morocco, she was studying to be a professional soccer coach. And she, of course, French and Arabic were her native. And I'm like the always forever beginner in French and Arabic, and I was so happy to have interaction with her, and I practiced some Arabic and French with her. And those, they were facing 7, 8, 9 years in
Wow.
prison when I left. So it's very heartbreaking. It's so hard to talk about. It's it's very sad. It's very sad. It's not them to blame for. It's the whole system. It's the whole. I don't know. It's just. I'm sure something can be done about it, but this is how it is right now.
Yeah. Were there any other journalists there?
No, there were no journalists.
Okay. So I guess this brings to my next question. When, if, did the U.S. government start communicating with you?
I have never had any direct communication.
Interesting.
No, never. But I knew the U.S. consular services were sending requests to visit me in prison, and they were always declined.
Okay.
I knew that they were sending requests to learn about my medical health, about my health situation, and they were a couple of times they were misinformed by prison officials. I had some problems with my health, and they never, the prison officials never reported them to the Americans. I knew a huge advocacy work was being done here in the United States, and it was led by RFERL advocacy team.
Did your lawyers tell you? How did you find out about it?
My lawyers told me. Yes,
Got
my
it.
lawyers were in touch with my husband. We didn't have any direct communication with my husband, but occasionally I could get a couple of notes from him, and
Got it.
I could send my letters to my children. But of course, the notes were not about that advocacy work at all.
Right.
It was something very personal and about children and about school, about their travels. I mean, I realized the scale of the campaign only when I got back, and I'm still meeting people who were behind my advocacy, and it's incredible. It was, I mean, it was such a coalition of different people. It's like the government, but not only the American government, but a couple of European governments, also Canada, the EU. I had in the courtroom, not the final trial, but when they were extending my detention, I saw the Australian embassy people. I saw people from the Netherlands embassy. There was once there was a lady from the Czech embassy. I mean, it was so extraordinary. It doesn't really, I can't comprehend the scale, how they were doing that. I will never understand. I hope somebody opens that like later, the archives and because it's really interesting how they were doing it. It was very complicated. It was very fragile. It was for me, it was a magic that I was released in that swap. I knew about Evan, I knew about Paul, I knew the world was trying, the American government was trying hard to release them. The lawyers were working on that. I didn't know anything about myself, and even I can't say I was prepared to be left behind this time. I didn't even know it was coming that soon, but I wasn't prepared. Of course, I would be devastated. I mean, I would be happy for them, but I would have been devastated if I learned that I was left behind. But I would totally understand. And the true magic happened, and I'm here talking to you.
Yes. No, so happy that you were released. And so, you mentioned that you were brought on the train to Moscow. No one told you anything. When did it finally start to come together? Like, oh, I'm getting out of here. What was that like?
It was coming very slowly, step by step, though I was imagining and fantasizing that day very clearly. I was dreaming of it. And it came almost exactly like in my dream, but even a little bit better. So they rushed my investigation. After months and months of nothing in my investigation, they suddenly rushed it. We've finished. We have done the closing. There's lots of bureaucracy there. So you have to, it has to be over, like final signatures, final interrogation, all that was over very quickly. Then my trials were rushed. And then I learned from my lawyer that Evan's trials were at the same day. Evan's trials were open to public. So actually I learned that on the second day of my trial, during the trial, my lawyer told me, like whispered in my ear, "Hey, by the way, I just learned that Evan's trials are almost over, and the verdict will be tonight at the same time with yours." So this was the next hopeful step. Then I was taken out from my prison cell in Kazan, though they never told me where I was going. And actually, they put me on a train which was going to the opposite side of Moscow. But from other cellmates, I knew how those trains worked. The prison car is detached to any train going anywhere, and somehow logistically they sent the train. So I mean, the trip to Moscow otherwise takes 3-4 times less time than 3 days. You can get to Moscow in 6 hours, but it took me 3 days. So it was a very big reroute, but I knew eventually I could end up in Moscow. So which I did. That was a big hope. Then they brought me to that famous prison, Lefortovo, where other prisoners were kept. And of course, I didn't know about other prisoners. I didn't know how long I will stay there. Nobody told me. They just put me in solitary confinement with almost no personal belongings. Just I got a toothbrush and toothpaste and a pen and pencil and my 2 books. So that was, and they didn't tell, but they told like approximately a week. They said approximately in a week you could call your lawyer, because I was demanding to call my lawyer. And I wanted a shower. And so these are 2 basic rules when you are transferred from one prison to another in Russia. These are 2 things you have the right to do, and they have no right to refuse. But so I said that I wanted a shower, and I want to call my lawyer because nobody knows where I was. And the guard said that wait for a week. You'll take a shower in a week, and you will call anybody you want. And then I asked what was going to happen in a week, he didn't say anything. He just left. That's it. So I was kind of prepared to wait for a week, and then it happened.
And then what happened? So the week happens, and then what's it like? What was behind the scenes?
Emily, my emotions were still on hold. I didn't share any emotions in prison. I just couldn't. I couldn't handle emotions because I thought that if I fall apart, it will be very hard to get back that sense of well-being. So, well, it was. Early in the morning when the guard brought me my personal belongings and told me to change. And brought me some papers to sign of release from that prison. And he told me to take only something very necessary. So I thought that might be it. I kind of hoped and believed that might be it. Then they took me on the bus, and I was the last one to board the bus, and the whole bus was full of those prisoners who were also who had been in that Lefortovo for a week, like I was there apparently. So we greeted each other because we knew each other despite of isolation and despite of how everyone of them were in a very remote areas of Russia. We knew each other. We knew all the details. We were so happy to see each other. They were brief chats. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't feel like. I saw Evan behind me. I saw Paul next to me, close to me. But I was so devastated. It was raining. It was a cold morning. I was just looking at the rain, and it was hard.
Yeah,
that moment was hard. So there was a UN human rights report released this week. And I didn't know the exact number of political prisoners in Russia. I was kind of hoping it was below 1,000, but actually it is more than 1,300. So it's a lot. So I overheard the conversations of others that it's so unfair that I mean, everybody was happy to be released, but we felt that it was unfair to leave them behind.
So many bittersweet feelings. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So many.
And I think the first time I could ever speak, and it was Evan on the plane to Ankara. On the plane to Ankara, we had a chat. We exchanged books, and that was the first time we could open up a little bit.
I mean, you've just been self-preservation mode of having to shut down and then I can only imagine all the emotions going through your mind and then
Absolutely.
having to just reorient your thought process and allow yourself to be like, oh, I'm going to be safe again. Yeah.
Yes.
Tough. Really tough. But thank you for sharing and opening up. I'm truly.
Thank you very much. You see, like I never cried for 10 months, and I think I'm doing this crying all now. But thank you for listening. Really, thank you. It means so much to me.
No, it means the world to me that you're trusting me to listen and share your story. And it's truly such an inspiration. And I was like, I remember staying up late at night watching all of you guys get off the plane and then your daughters running up to you and just how incredible and special and beautiful it was. And, you know, like I'm so grateful and so glad that you're back and safe and able to process.
I can't watch that video. I don't know how you guys are watching it. I can't watch it.
Oh, we were all sobbing. Literally, don't you worry. Yeah.
Well, I think the only thing I saw there, it was like my daughters, and especially my younger one, crying, there before she saw. So it was her face that it was only when I hugged them I really realized, okay, I'm safe now and I'm not going anywhere.
No, your feet are on the ground in US, and then you're going to go back to Prague, and you're just going to stay with us, feet on the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how overwhelming it's been. And then you met the president and getting off the plane. Like, were they prepping you? They're like, you guys do not realize how excited we are to have you back. I mean, what was that flight like? It must have been incredible.
No, they were not prepping. I think the whole experience was so overwhelming and overjoying already. There was no need. There was no need. They just truly, when I heard that the president himself will be meeting us on the tarmac, I don't even remember being surprised or anything because like everything was so surreal and magical.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was very nice. I really loved greeting them, saying hi, saying thank you. And it was great that we did it really briefly. And especially Vice President Kamala Harris, she gave me a hug and then immediately pushed me to my chair. She said, go, run to your children.
Yeah.
She did that. And I'm really thankful for that. So I didn't have to, spend a lot of time.
No, she knew the important.
Amazing. Yeah. It was just the right moment, the right timing. It was everything very well. I can't say planned because nothing was planned there. It was so impulsive and emotional, but it was the right thing. It's always when it comes from your heart and from your emotions, it's always the best thing, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it was so beautiful. I'm so happy for you. And the day when you're ready to watch, it's going to just hit you with like so many emotions, but you'll understand what everyone else was feeling and how we were just so elated for you.
But you know what? I'm really happy to talk to people, to my friends. It was so heartbreaking on you guys, and especially my friends and colleagues. Every story matters to me. I'm devastated with some of the stories. How my friends and colleagues. They would get together and plan that, organize like how they help me, me in prison, my advocacy campaign here. They're all those small elements and details. They supported me with letters, books, and food packages. That's the whole different story. And it takes effort too and money. And how they were strong together and how they fell apart, how they collapsed when they came home, when they talked about me with their loved ones. It just, I really, really, it's heartbreaking to hear that. It was very hard on everyone who knew about me and who was covering my story, who was following my story. It wasn't easy.
Absolutely no. No, of course not, Guess like a little bit of a fun one. What was the food you missed the most, and when were you able to eat it when you got back?
Oh, that's a good question. I was craving eggs. Really, I didn't get eggs for 10 months. I traded them once for a pack of cigarettes, which I don't smoke, but I had cigarettes because my friends, somehow they knew that it was a good currency so I traded, but I felt really bad because, I got the egg from a woman who had, HIV, and she needed them more than me, but she didn't care about eggs or her diet, and like she cared more about cigarettes. So like I did that once, but I was eating eggs every day since I got released. Otherwise, no, I don't care much about food. I'm just getting the taste back slowly. I like something. I don't care about sweets. I don't care about, water and plain food and proteins, fruit and vegetables. That's my diet.
Good for you. I had a donut last night, so not sure if I can relate on the no sweets front, but I'm happy.
It's fine. I love donuts too.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, so what's next? What's next for Alsu?
I'm still unpacking my thoughts. I haven't done anything much yet, so I'm traveling. I'm enjoying basic pleasures. I'm a lot with my family. I really want to reflect on my experience. I don't know what way, either book or the movie or documentary. We'll see. I'm getting offers, and we'll see. I can't tell you anything right now because not because it's a secret, but because I just haven't made my mind yet.
Totally. Focus on the good things. Focus on the family.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is whatever I will be doing from now on, I will be focusing on good things and those who need my help and advice. And I will be happy to talk to about my experience always.
Yeah. No, I'm so grateful to be able to interview.
Of course, there are colleagues who are in prison. My journalists from RFE, I'm in touch with our team, advocacy team, about them. I really, really hope the energy that I'm bringing to those events I'm participating, and when I'm talking to everyone, I hope that they feel that energy, because that energy helped me a lot. I didn't know the details of my advocacy, but I felt it. It's so important. I felt it in those letters. I felt it those little notes from my children. I really felt it, and that helps a lot. That's more precious than food in prison, literally.
No, I think it makes everyone who is involved with you trying to get you out, it probably makes them feel really good to know, like, it was not just falling on deaf ears. She actually received it. She actually got it, and it makes such a difference. And it's great for everyone to know the importance of advocacy work and, being that human source.
Well, I'm grateful forever. I will never say enough thank you for everyone, the journalism community, first of all, government officials, rights groups, press freedom groups, everyone who have done a lot, but even more, like that personal input. Thank you so much. I mean, I have so many friends around the world, and I'm so happy.
Good. Any last comments? Anything else you would like to say?
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was such a pleasure to meet you at CGI, and I hope to stay in touch. And to your audience, thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Press freedom is very precious. It's very fragile. We protest and we raise up when we don't have water, when we don't have food, right? But when something is happening to press and journalists, it's always feels like, okay, it's somewhere there. It won't never concern me, and like I won't have any problem there. But actually, everyone might have a problem if there is no press freedom, when there is no no freedom to read whatever we want, when there is no freedom to listen to whatever we want. It might come later. The damage might come later, but the impact it will come for sure. It will be on everyone. So let's not forget about that. And I was happy to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm your host, Emily Gross. We'll be back next week.